No, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
First of
It should
all,
be fine.
how you say your name? Soapy?
Soapy, yeah.
Soapy, get that motherfucking Larry Bird jersey out of here. Are you serious?
Extremely,
Hey,
extremely unprofessional move by my
we
co-host. I
are from New
apologize.
England. We
Get
are
your
from New England,
I
but
don't care where you from. They ain't won no championship. We got 17 out here. How many of y'all got back there?
no,
All
no,
right.
you got 12 actually.
Are you crazy?
All right. Well, this is off to a terrific start. Thank you. Thank you, Soapy. Jesus Christ.
You better be recording because I only go one time, man.
Yeah. No, you're good. No, we'll get right into it. I want to respect your time. I know Soapy sent you a thing today for about half an hour. Is that still cool?
I actually thought Soapy was a woman. To tell you the truth, I did.
Most people do. And then they're unpleasantly surprised when they get on the video.
I'm very unpleasantly surprised.
And here we are. I hope that's not a deal breaker for you.
Gentlemen, how are both of you guys doing?
We're doing well, man. Doing well. Thank you for your time.
Sorry, hopefully this took so long. It's just a lot.
No worries. No worries, man.
I just broke his wrist dunking on Friday, so other stuff. I almost canceled the day, but you know what? I'm a trooper. I'm a real Laker, and I'm a champion. So that's why we burrow through this.
Okay.
No, that's good to hear, man. How's everything on your end? How are all your people during the pandemic and everything out there?
You know, it's tough, but hey,
yeah.
It don't bother me because I stay in the house anyway. So
yeah, I say it all the time. I tell my wife, I was like, dude, I've been social distancing for any opportunity I can get.
Well, you know, your wife not letting you go out of the house is not social distancing.
That's fair. Man. He's coming in hot today. Jesus.
Yeah.
Baby, I'm on fire. This motherfucker's on fire over here.
No, I like it though. This is we're just gloves off from the jump.
So
I'm gonna slap you.
Let's start here. You answered my first question, which was, to this day, do you still hate the Celtics? And that sounds like a resounding yes, correct?
Very big yes. Capital letters, yes. YESSSSSSS.
And you're friends with Cedric Maxwell?
Well, I wouldn't say we're friends. We are. Well, the thing about it is we're tolerable now. I tolerate him. I don't like him. I tolerate him. If I actually had a chance to see him, and it almost started a fight, but luckily there was people there. My wife was there, and I was trying to conduct myself in a very professional manner.
Yes.
Until he said tragic Johnson, and then it all shit broke loose.
Oh no,
that's not a good move.
See, we wouldn't have done that.
Well, you guys are scared of me. That's why he's not scared.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I would. So hope he can speak for himself.
In the room, I scared the shit out of you, man.
Hey, part of the reason that I had this was because he did say that you were the toughest defender that he ever played against. So,
and you know what, I'm gonna say this in all sincerity is that, and I said this before he said what he said. Larry was the hardest player I've ever had to guard, simply because you didn't have to guard him on the offensive end. He could do other things. He could beat you rebounding, passing the basketball, diving out of bounds for a loose ball. Look how he beat Detroit. I had Isaiah on my podcast last week, and he said the thing that gives him nightmares is him throwing that ball away to Larry Bird, and that they had a chance to win. He threw it and he flicked it over to DJ and for the score. So Larry has always been a very, very interesting and tough player for me to guard. So, but I appreciate that and respect that he said that about me. I think feelings were kind of mutual.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty common resentment around the league. But so speaking of, who you played against, who you're playing with. So obviously, we're kind of getting right into the interview, but we have Michael Cooper here. Name speaks for itself. You got a handful of rings, bunch of trophies. Of course, you took some of those off our Celtics hands here and there throughout the 80s, but we're going to keep this respectable, is what it is.
Right, we took them. That's right. We handed nothing.
Let's talk about some of the dudes you played with on your team. So you had some big names, obviously including yourself. Talk to us a little bit about playing with Magic. I guess it's a two-part question. Is Magic the best passer you've ever seen? If yes, who's the best since him?
You know what? The one thing about Magic and Bird is that you can't mention one's name without the other, because those two gentlemen definitely reorganized, re-energized, redid the whole NBA when both of them entered in 1980, because they made passing the basketball fun. Because up until that point, basketball was about me. I'll dribble, throw it in. I got to score. But they made being part of a team a lot of fun and very important. So, but Magic was one of a kind player.
Yeah.
His enthusiasm for the game, and another thing I say about those two, they were perfect for each team they went to at that particular time. I don't think Larry could have been with the Lakers and we would have did what we did, and Magic would have bust up. It wouldn't have worked out. So, but Magic was the true team player. Team meaning together, everyone achieves more. And he never played with anybody. And I've been on Lakers for 12 years with all those interesting teams that enjoyed the game in practice. You know, a lot of guys just come to practice, let's go through the motion. Magic enjoyed being at practice. And I think that was infectious with all of us. And it even got to Kareem, because Kareem was one of the biggest haters of practice and eventually started liking practice.
I was going to say, I've seen some like archive footage of Magic smiling here and there. He looked like a guy who had fun from time to time, and it showed on the court. That's interesting about Kareem, though. So what was it like? Just remind me, were you were there when you were on the Lakers when Magic got drafted, correct?
Well, and that's why I say to people, when people ask me how was to play with Magic, I say, fuck that. I was Magic to play with Michael Cooper. I was on the team first.
Right. That's why. That's exactly why I asked, man. I'm glad you brought that up. So what was it like bringing a kid like that in
79, and then Magic came in 80.
Okay, cool. And then obviously Kareem was there prior to that too, right? I forget the exact time.
Jamal, and Norm were already there.
Gotcha. So what was that like in the locker room, having a big name out of college coming in, and he really got right from Jump Street, was kind of not the man, but playing at an extremely high level, I think you would say.
That woman you see behind me, she just came off the street and she's lost. So I'll get her out of the house in a minute. But
at least you guys are socially distanced.
Yeah, that's my wife. Magic, his joy and love for the game really influenced all of us. I think I had always enjoyed playing basketball, but I think for Kareem and Norm and Jamal Wilkes, who had been on the team, and it was kind of like ho-hum, just go and I play and I get my money and then I move on to the next season. I think that changed that all for us. I think another good thing was that when I got with the Lakers, Jerry West was the head coach. And when Jerry West came in, when Dr. Buss came in, he elevated Jerry to the general manager and brought in another coach for us, Jack McKinney, who was a disciple of Jack Ramsey when Portland won a championship. And Coach McKinney brought in that enthusiasm for team, and he wanted to kind of build that kind of team that they had up there that won with Lionel Hollins and Bill Walton and Bobby Gross, so players like that. So he kind of wanted that, and that's how he kind of formed our team. And Magic kind of like when he came in, fitted in great. And it's so unfortunate that Coach McKinney had his accident it was about 7 games into the season, where Coach Westhead came in. Paul Westhead came in and just kind of elevated and kept it going. But Magic was perfect for our team, and I think he was perfect for Kareem at that time, because Kareem was just Kareem. And Magic, I think, brought something out of that youthful Kareem that was at UCLA, brought that out of him.
Great call. Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. I've never really thought about when you said Bird was perfect for Boston and vice versa with Magic in LA, because if you flip those, I can't picture those classic things of Bird in his truck drinking Budweiser driving down Rodeo Drive and then Magic walking down Causeway Street with a mink coat. You know what I mean? So that's
Magic in Boston, well, he could deal with cold weather because Magic came with a big fur coat on.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Players would have never been able to jive.
Yeah. So my last question on other players around your time. We talked about when Magic came into the league. Around the mid-'80s, there was this kid, Mike Jordan, out of North Carolina, who came in as well. What was the kind of narrative and talk around the league when that kid came in, and then
we wasn't fearful of Jordan towards the end of your career, because this is like 83, 84. He came in. He had won 2 championships now. But you know what? I think the idea that Jordan took the game to another level, because Magic and Bird had it covered below the rim. Jordan took it above the rim, and his athleticism and his tenacity for wanting to win championships was actually kind of fun. But you know what? He, again, was caught in Chicago, and Chicago was struggling, kind of like we did before Magic came. Before Magic came. And but we knew Jordan was going to be a force, but we weren't too concerned about him, because we didn't have to see him for 7 games until the finals. So
right.
Detroit, Boston, they had to worry about him.
Not your problem.
Exactly.
Coop, kind of a difference between today's game and when you were playing. You, in game 2 of the 87 finals, I saw that you hit 6 threes against our Celtics, which back then, like that was, I mean, that's still a lot of threes in a game, but were you arrested for cheating, or did they let you, have a post-game press conference after?
So, P, you know what? You're trying to be funny, but you're not, and I love it.
No, I'm on your side because I'm
trying to salvage anything you can because you actually hate talking to me. We did whoop y'all's ass. But anyway, those 3-pointers that I hit, the 6, you got to remember, they moved that line back. That line was about 5-6 feet back, further than it is today's game. So those were some big time threes. But you know what? It all came back to team for me because, again, the Celtics didn't think I could shoot because Larry Bird used to always say, shoot it, shoot it. That was his defense on me. Shoot it, shoot it. And I said, okay, well, I'll show you. So I splashed 6 of them in his face, but I was left open. So if I didn't get those, I was going to find my ass on the bench. So I had to shoot and hit my shots when they were there.
To be clear, that joke was a knock against, like, I don't know, the comparison of the two eras. That was not a Celtics joke.
I hear you.
I'm really sorry.
Loosen up, man. We having fun, right?
That's true. Man. We're having a little too much fun. So
crossing the damn line.
Let's scale it back.
Question. Speaking of, again, my co-host, if you want to call him that, kind of said something about the two eras. The other thing we noticed, man, you didn't miss many games. You got a lot of 80 game seasons under your belt. How do you feel about load management? That's kind of like a buzzword going around the NBA right now. I assume people from your generation despise it, but I'd love to hear it right from you. Okay.
I hate that word. I hate it.
It sucks, right?
It all came into play with Popovich. Now, Pop, and I understand what he was trying to do with that, because, again, it's a long NBA season. Yep. Wear and tear on the guys, all of that. So, if I don't need you this game, I'll sit you out. I think it's a injustice to the game because the one thing that I was always taught is that fans make who you are, and you have to play for the fans. And that was one thing Pat Riley was big on. So for a player, again, that's one thing I love about our era. You came to play, and especially with our team, if you didn't play, there's a good chance you lose your position in the rotation. So I wasn't about to miss my rotation, and I was waiting for anybody, we always had a joke on our team, like if Magic or somebody got hurt, we go, and this was me and myself and Mike McGee. He was big on this, one of our players on our team. He go, "You not playing today?" And we go, "No, I'm not playing." He says, "Okay, I'm gonna take your spot." But he said it real nice, and kind of sly a little bit. Yeah. So but we enjoyed playing, and we wanted to play all the time. And like I said, I was a 6th man. But I just wanted to get out there and compete, just compete at every moment, every second I could.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, the other thing I think, as far as obviously there's hundreds of differences between now and then. The other one most recently is just the craziness of the NBA offseason nowadays, where some would say it's just as damn exciting as some stuff in the regular season with all the trades and Twitter bombs and all this stuff. That seems different too, man. I mean, I know you spent your whole NBA career with the Lakers. Magic, all the go-to names on the Celtics, same thing. How do you feel about that kind of thing in the NBA? Do you kind of, are you pro player in the sense that get your money, go where you want to go, or do you kind of see do you kind of respect the guys who stay home?
Not for that, Dan. I respect players that, like, I respect the hell out of Michael Jordan. I mean, that guy could have jumped ship at any point in time, but you know what? He stayed with that organization. He was influential in getting good key players for that team. He stayed with it. You take your butt whippings, but look what happened in the end for him. I mean, they went 6-7 championships and in a small amount of time. I don't believe, and there are a few, and I'll mention one right now, LeBron James. I don't feel people should necessarily chase championships, but in some cases it's warranted. Like LeBron, he left Cleveland to go to Miami to learn how to win. Because you have to learn how to win in order for it. And then what does he do? He go right back to Cleveland. I got the formula. I got the map. Now I get it. What did he do? He takes Cleveland to a championship. So in cases like that, there are times that a player may have to do that. But these guys that are jumping around trying to chase championships and follow them. And, you know, I love this player. And I'm going to mention his name, James Harden. He actually sees what's going on now. Harden leaves OKC, you know, because he wanted to form his own identity and get his own team, go to Houston. and you can't win. So you have to have the right pieces. Championships aren't bought. Championships are earned. And players have to earn their stripes to be on a team where that chemistry becomes good, and then you guys start winning. What he's about to do now is fight a request and hold out and do whatever to get to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I almost don't mind it because they have done, and I'm not going to say they, the organization. I just think that things haven't happened to where that Houston team could flourish with him. I think the biggest thing that happened to that team was when they let, what's the big guy go? Their center last year.
Who? Houston?
Houston.
Oh, Capella?
Capella. When they let him go, that was the start of what is happening now.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what? You got to have somebody to anchor. Was he the right center for them? I think so. Some people think he needed to score more, he needed to block more shots. No, he was perfect for what you were trying to build. So I don't buy players jumping around, running around for championships. You know, sometimes you get with a team, and you have to go through the growing pains of losing, get your butt kicked, but you kind of find a way, influence players, talk to management if you want the superstar players and you got that kind of authority, and let them know what you need to make a good championship team.
Yep, that makes sense.
I think it was getting out of hand. Like by the time that they let him go, everyone saw how many times PJ Tucker was starting at center from fucking 6'7" or whatever it was.
Well, something did PJ Tucker win a championship? No. Did he even finally get? No. So you know what? That's a bad way. You keep that kid. You need height. And I think that's why the Lakers won a championship. And I think the Lakers are going to do that old throwback now because Houston is the one, the instigators of this small ball shit that they trying to play. That ain't going to win you a championship. Championships are won in the paint and with some bigs. And that's why when AD eventually signs with the Lakers, and I didn't like them letting Howard get out of there, but the Lakers were a big team. They're going to cause you problems. And right now in today's game, which is why Howard and AD and JaVale were so successful because even though they're big, they could guard multiple positions. And that's what gives people problems. Now, the Lakers kind of lost that a little bit, but we'll see.
I added a question about LeBron. Yeah, during the load management thing of last season, one of the games he showed up to on the bench with like a glass of red wine. What would have happened in the 80s if you guys had tried to pull that stunt?
That shit went down. Like, first of all, Pat Riley wouldn't let him get into the and probably me, Magic, or somebody went and knocked out of his hand. And
yeah,
you know what?
Good answer.
To go back to a little bit what you said, Dan, about the way the NBA is run. You know what? Social media is so big now that in our era that we didn't have that. So our focus was always about basketball. During the off season, it wasn't about trying to get my social status up, my social, the people, my followers.
Yeah.
We were spending time in the gym, getting better, practicing on your game, spending a little bit of time with your family, and doing that. So social media definitely has hurt the NBA, but it also has helped it tremendously too. That's why these players are demanding and getting the big dollar amounts they're getting.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, I think it's helped grow in the game in general, if that's what you're getting at. But at the same time, it's not even, I think it's just the invention of the cell phone. Like in the 80s, you could have a group text with Harden, KD, and Kyrie saying, hey, let's all play together. That's such a foreign like concept. You know what I mean? It really is so player driven now that Sophie and I were talking the other day. It's like free agency doesn't even matter. Like people forget James Harden's not a free agent, but he's almost courting himself as he is one. Like, hey, I want to go here. Come and get me. You know, it's not that easy. So I think that's the thing.
Things too, which is something that's unheard of back then, where now general managers, presidents are kind of like taking into effect. Okay. But the one thing I loved, and without cutting you off, Dan, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, go ahead.
But without cutting you off, is I love what Houston said. Houston said, we're ready to be uncomfortable this year because we're not just going to get these guys away. Westbrook, Harden, we're ready to be uncomfortable. If you guys sit out, we're okay with going 1-71. You know, we're okay with that. And I think that puts the control back on the teams as opposed to letting these players have all the control and demand trades. No, you can't tear an organization down like that.
Yeah. So what I didn't even ask you, what do you think? Do you think Harden to Brooklyn is realistic? You think that's going to happen?
I think it's going to happen eventually.
Really? And keeping KD and Kyrie there too? So
I don't think it'll work if Kyrie stays there. KD is going to be KD because you can build around him. You got to remember, Kyrie is the weak link on that whole process, and he's the one that it can be expendable. Again, that young man is a fantastic basketball player. I'm not taking that from him. But as far as a team, and we saw that in Cleveland, we saw what happened there, and so
saw that in Boston.
Exactly. So when we saw that LeBron kind of committed to Kyrie, that's when they won the championship. But when Kyrie wasn't flexible, that's when they lost that first championship. Yeah. So LeBron was smart enough to say, okay, I'm not going to win without this kid, and we can't give him away. So let me figure out how we can win with him. And he started letting him do his thing. Kyrie want to score without playing defense. He wants to score, and you can't do that. You have to do. You can be 60% scorer, but you got to give me 40% on defense. You can't be 60% and 5% on defensive end. It doesn't work.
Yeah. He also wants you to think that he's a leader without actually being a leader.
Leading. Sure.
Yeah.
And he thinks the earth is flat, but whatever. That's for a different episode. We have our astrology episode towards the end of the week. So you mentioned playing defense. Now, you played a little defense back in your day. I have a question. So obviously we talked about Cedric Maxwell earlier. He's been on our show. I know you guys work together. He has a funny story about his finals MVP gift. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's like this very feminine looking watch. Doesn't scream to me, the excellence of the NBA finals. You won a Defensive Player of the Year award. What was that hardware like? Did they give you your due of a fine looking women's watch as well, or did you get something a little different?
Oh, I didn't get a feminine watch, and I'm gonna hit something about that. But what they gave me was actually have it hanging in the other room there. It's a wooden frame picture, with red felt, and a wooden player drawn. I mean, really, really cheap. But you know what? It's the significance of it. It's not about the actual thing. It's about, hey, I was the best defensive player this year. But what they're giving out now, it doesn't hold. But the fun part about that and the special part about it is the stuff they're giving out now. If I hang on to this for about another 10, 20 years and come back, somebody offer me 100, 200,000 because it's a unique plaque.
Yeah.
And like you'll never see this again, okay? But you always see a card trophy and a guy standing there, the red arm back sitting on the bench, but you won't see the type of accolades, awards that they were giving us back then. So mine is kind of unique too, but I'd rather have mine than Cedric's little feminine watch.
What about your rings? What do you do with your rings?
Those those are my kids have those. All my kids.
Nice.
So I have 4 kids, and so one, but they have those, and they have them in their own little way.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I have my 2 WNBA championship rings. Those are upstairs in a drawer somewhere, and then I have my 1 G League at the time, as opposed to the No, it's D League.
It was G League now.
Now, it's the G League now. So I have that, and that's somewhere upstairs.
Okay. So, B, where do you keep your championship rings?
The rings these guys get now are big, giant, gaudy rings. These are pretty cool. You can that fit on 2 fingers. Our ring was like our rings was like a fraternity ring. You know how you get that, or a graduation ring.
Yeah.
This was the thing in it, but they're special.
That's a good point. Do you guys ever get pissed, like, as you watch like the current teams every year? I swear, dude, the rings are like, they don't even look like rings anymore. They're like literally like trophies, like on your wrist. Like,
no, me personally, I don't get upset with the way the rings are. I don't get upset about the money that these guys are making now, because I always look at it like this. You guys are reaping the benefits of what we laid on the ground, on the floor for you, the foundation. And what makes me come to thinking like that is I got to remember Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Will Champion. Jerry used to tell me story. Coop, I played his shoe contract. They paid him $5,000 for the season to wear Adidas. $5,000, man. So, and Jerry, they were way better than us, greater players. But you know what? It's just a progression of where we are today. And like I tell my son, keep working hard, because now with us, it was $1 million players. Now, I'm telling you, the next true players are going to be $1 billion players. In about another 5 or 10 years, you'll be talking about guys making $1.6 billion. You can't spend that kind of money, but that's where we're heading, because this game is so fantastic, so spectacular, and it's worldwide now.
Yep. Well said.
Coop, speaking of the progress of the game, what's a modern day amenity that you see now in the NBA that you wish that you had when you were playing? Like, I know I've seen like a video where they toured the Celtics' new practice facility, and they had these like saltwater tanks that are meant for you to kind of relax and recover in. So like, I don't know. What's something that you wish you had that would have extended your career?
You know what, the one thing that I wish I had, and it actually became fruition probably about in like 86, 87, was charter flights.
That'd be nice.
We had to fly domestic.
You were sitting coach?
You were at 6 o'clock in the No, you didn't fly coach. Boy, you had to make, if you were in that top 7 rotation, you got to sit in first class. But the only thing about flying coach is they reimburse you the difference. So you got that money back. But these guys now, they have it so easy because you play a game. You don't have to doodle around and stay in that city and leave the next morning. You leave that night and you're in the next city at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you don't understand how beneficial that is from your body, because you're not really sleeping anyway. When you finish a game and you go back to your room, you probably stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, kind of like eating and thinking about the game and unwinding. And by then you go to sleep, and then 2 hours later, it's like, hey, you got to get up, catch a bus, go to the airport. That's the only thing I wish that we would have had the whole time if we had chartered. I think a lot of players could have played 5, 6, 7 more years, because that's wear and tear, man. Getting up in the morning, flying, and then get back, as opposed to like leaving the arena, get on a bus, go to the airport, and you got a luxury seat. You can lay back because the charters are great. And then you can think about the game, watch the game, and then when you get there, then you'll be able to fall asleep and then be ready to play or go to practice the next day.
All right, Michael Cooper against commercial airfare. All right, we'll write that down.
Delta stock just plummeted after this thing gets released. Unbelievable.
Speaking of LA, what's the of things that you feel comfortable sharing? What's the funniest story that you can share about, I don't know, a celebrity that you saw in the crowd, or anything related to like, just celebrities being at the games and stuff?
Dr. Buss, that was his vision for the Los Angeles Lakers when he bought the team. He wanted, this is what he always used to say. He would say, you guys, I want you guys to entertain the entertainers. So you got the actors and the movie stars and the musicians and all that.
That's actually what we're doing with you right now.
Okay, Sophie, right there. Anyway, so he wanted us to entertain them. So it was very pleasurable to see. Oh, this is the weird thing, is that Michael Jackson was a big fan of Magic's and the Lakers, okay?
Hell yeah.
Michael Jackson could never come to the game as Michael Jackson. So he always used to come as an old man, and he would sit right across from our seat, about 4 rows up. No, serious story.
I know, I believe it.
He would dress up like an old man because he couldn't come there because he was so big. I mean, they would
right.
even watch us if he was in there. But that was a fun thing I always thought. And Magic always knew what he came as. So Magic would go, cool. See that guy sitting over there in row F and seat 5 and 4 rows up? That's Michael Jackson. And it was a fun, man. He'd have a whole hat on and say, and he'd be with 2 security guards. It was actually fun. But to see Denzel Washington, Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Remember him? Yeah. To see those guys in the stand, those famous people enjoying what we brought to them, to give them a little pleasure for that moment was fun.
He was like, hey, Coop, you see that guy dressed as Prince? Yeah, that's not Prince. That's actually Michael Jackson.
So that's so funny. So I'm curious, have you ever seen footage, or like, is there anything out there where like the camera caught Michael Jackson, like in disguise, like in the crowd?
No, they never could. I mean, because you got to remember, back in those days, then we didn't have.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's like one camera.
Cameras everywhere.
Very good point.
But back then, you probably had 4 cameras, and they all tuned in on the game because nobody wanted to miss anything.
Yeah, very good point.
I'm actually a huge Michael Jackson fan, which brings me to my next question. What did you guys have, or no, what did you specifically listen to, I guess, warming up for the game, or what got you ready on a game day?
I was a big jazz fan. My thing was jazz. The person I kind of identified would be with Miles Davis, the late great Miles Davis, the trumpeter, and Kareem was a jazz person. And I didn't know that until I got with the team. But if on the way to the game, I would listen to some jazz because it's kind of mellow. Because I know once I got into the arena, I was going to take the what do they call it now? Turn up.
Yeah,
turn up.
Very familiar.
That's when I got to the arena. So I'd have to listen to all that.
So you turned down first to get you ready to turn up.
Yeah, turn up, exactly.
I got you.
I've always thought it's weird. Like, I don't know if you think the same way, but you'll watch guys warm up now with like huge Beats headphones and multi-layers. It's yeah. Are you trying to emulate a real game scenario? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? Like, it just looks silly. Yeah.
You go out there and shoot. Our thing was go out there and concentrate on the game. Okay, this is what I might get. I am not
and then
listening
talk to each other.
Some Nicki Minaj or some who my son liked, not 2 Chainz, but what's the other guy?
Come on, Soapy.
Who?
I don't know.
The baby. I don't know.
All one in the same. Yeah. How old is your oldest who listens to this music?
My oldest son is like 38, 40. My youngest son now, he's 15.
Yeah.
2 Chainz, but what's the guy? Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
Yeah, that's what I said. Man, what are you bumping? I'm listening to Travis Scott. So I actually listened one time. This guy talking nothing but craziness, man. You know, how can you get fired in the game listen to craziness? But that's the new generation, and that's what they like. And, you know, it's fun to see these rappers enjoy NBA too, because a lot of them would want to play. I guarantee if they had a choice, NBA basketball or rap, they play NBA basketball.
And then vice versa too. I bet there's dudes on the bench who will be like, you know, I'd rather just fucking rap than ride the bench in Memphis or in Orlando for the next thing.
If you rap, you got to work hard for that money. On the NBA,
very fair.
I can sit over there and make $2 million and not play the night.
I guess, but you can also be a one-hit wonder, have your career made. It's hard to have a one-hit wonder game unless you're Jeremy Lin or something and ride that out. But anyway, different time. let me ask you this, man, because I think another part of your career that's probably not as, I don't know if this is fair or not, probably not as, you know, well known as, you know, your hand on the women's basketball as well, you know, from coaching and everything. So talk to us a little bit. How did that transition come about? You know, I know you assistant coached in the NBA a little bit after your career, correct?
Yeah, I was assistant coach with Neil Harris. And right about that time, like 95, 96, you know, I was a team working with Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Elder Campbell. Them guys
love those teams.
Cannons, man. But I mean, they were good players, but they were just really young and athletic. But there was a person in our PR department. Her name was Rhonda Wyndham. And there was wind of the WNBA coming about. And you know what? Coach Riley always coached us in a very unusual way, which I love. Attention to detail. This is what you do. Our walkthroughs were good. Our playoff scouting reports were some of the best. And I ended up going to a summer league women's game up at USC. And I got a chance to that's where I first saw Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson, Yolanda Griffin, just to name a few of the great. And see, I didn't know about those ladies because that's that old saying, when you go overseas, that's out of sight, out of mind. So by the time I got a chance to see them, liked the way they played. WNBA came about and the late, great Orlando Woolridge was the Los Angeles Sparks' second coach. Well, their first coach was Jelly Bean Bryant, Kobe's dad. He was the first coach. The second coach was Orlando Woolridge, and he brought me on as an assistant in 98, 99. And then he ended up leaving, and then they asked me for the job. So the thing I love about the women's game is that women truly play the game below the rim. Well, at that time they did until Lisa Leslie had the big dunk. But women were very, I always say 3 things about women, okay? 1, they look better than men in their uniforms. Okay? 2, they smell better when they come back to the huddle. And 3, their attention to detail is very, very, very good. So when you're coaching, and I had my chances in the NBA coaching, had the opportunity to coach Carmelo Anthony when he was at Denver. These guys rely so much on their athleticism that they don't understand, or they don't really pay attention to the attention to detail. So it's hard for a coach to get a good team going, you know, but for the WNBA, it was a lot better because of the women. They're very attentive and they wanted to learn. So coaching with the Sparks was great for me. I won 2 championships there with the greatest female players ever played that game, and Lisa Leslie. And that league has gone on. And a lot of people were saying when that league started in 98, 97, 98, that it wouldn't be around. Well, here they're going on their 25th, 27th year in the league. So I was just glad to be a part of that and really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then you coach in college too, right?
Coaching college women at USC, Southern Cal, the women's team there. That was a little bit different because of coaching younger players. And again, the women's game was a lot better than the men. And the one thing I loved over there, and you might think this is funny, but it's not. My women players I never had to send an assistant coach at 6 o'clock in the morning to wake them up to get them in class. Guys, I coach. There was a player over there, Anthony Poley, was coaching with the men's team. Every morning he had to get up to go to these guys' apartments, get them up, and literally take them by hand to make their first class. And that to me is amazing because you're taking this game for granted, and especially taking this game, the schooling for granted. So, yeah, I'm there.
So you've always been California, Lakers, Sparks, Trojans.
Trojans, yeah.
Have you ever been out of the state of California? Non-business related? Not to come over to our house and whip our ass for a title.
I coached in Denver.
Yeah, Denver, my bad.
And then I coached 4 years for the WNBA in Atlanta. So
okay.
Atlanta was pretty good.
Nice.
I
had that option.
With that, but I'm just going with purple and gold, baby.
I hear you.
That stupid jersey that Soapy got back there behind him. We don't play
that was supposed to be a tribute. Now you're going to turn it against me, man.
Yes,
we're having a good time, too.
Borderline unforgivable.
Done it without that jersey hanging up. But go ahead, Dan.
I'm
going to take it from him.
Words, frankly.
It's my mic.
Go ahead. Try and salvage this goddamn thing before we get canceled.
Well, I'll salvage it for you. Listen, I want to promote Showtime with Coop, Insightful BS with Laker legends and NBA.
Love it.
My podcast, so get on it.
Yeah.
Showtime with Coop, Insightful BS with my NBA friends and Laker legends.
I'll even add to the plug. The last episode was with Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, great one.
Oh, that was a great talk.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Soapy. You're okay finally. You're coming around. But I've had George Gervin. I've had Rick Mahorn was a contentious one. That fucker, man.
Not a fan.
Man. Yeah, not a fan. I keep trying to get Bill Lambier on, but he won't get on because he know I'm gonna ring him a new one. But that's James Worthy. Kareem was a very, very good one. My boy Magic's going to be on sometime soon. So I got some good people coming up. I'm trying to get Dr. J on so we can talk about the dunk when he dunked on me. But what you guys don't realize.
Let's talk about it.
Good segue.
Well, we can't talk about it because then you guys will have to pay me because I know. About that.
Damn you. Damn capitalism.
All right, fine. Well, then kind of related to the dunk, you guys are kind of credited with the alley-oop, with the Koopa Loop. Which is a great name.
Yeah. Well, Chick Hearn came up with the name.
Yeah.
Magic was throwing like the Greg Kelser at Michigan State, so he was familiar with it already. And then they kind of made it part of mine, and he threw it up. And Chick, the late great Chick Hearn, he was like, he goes up, it's an alley-oop. Oh no, that's a Koopa Loop. I man, it was great. I loved it.
When Dr. J rocked it, no, I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to go down there. I'm just kidding.
You know what? Let me tell you something about that, because my son, all my kids, but my son right now is like, Dad, why couldn't you just get the hell out the way? This is what I'm
Yeah, you should have made a business decision.
What happened is, if you remember, that play started out on the left side of the floor, and I tried to go for a steal. So I ended up cutting back, and I was going to go to the basket, and I promise you guys this. It didn't come to fruition, though, but I promise you, had I been able to get up in the air and get turned with my right hand, it would have been the greatest block of all time.
Oh, hell yeah. 100%.
All-time greatest block.
Here's the thing.
I jumped up. He got on me so fast that I went like that, and I said, well, let me just – I don't want to break my left hand. I don't want to hit my head on this backboard. Let me just get out of the way, and I got out of the way.
So here's the thing. I actually think that I think that dunk is a little overrated, to be honest, because it wasn't like you were able to, square up and then go straight up against him and try to contest it that way. So you were more like dunked next to rather than dunked on. I think what makes that play more legendary is Chick Hearn's call of it than the actual play.
Hey, Dan, he's really walking a fine line with me, but you know what, Soapy, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Thank you for kind of like at least putting it that way. I got dunked on, and I'm gonna say that. The only good thing about it is I wasn't posterized.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Turn and they dunk in your face, but you know what? It was a hell of a dunk because he created it. I always wished I could have dunked on somebody like that.
Yes.
And Soapy, come on, I dunk on you right now. I'm 64 years old. I might hurt myself, but I'll dunk on you.
To your point before that,
I'd send it back.
I've been texting Sophie exactly what to say to try and salvage this, so it's really no appreciation to him. But hey, last thing I wanted to ask you.
But you're secretly doing it. Okay, I got
yeah.
you.
Last thing I wanted to ask you. Hopefully, this doesn't go down too much of a somber road. But what was your relationship like with Kobe? Because I know you were an assistant over in LA, right? When Kobe and Shaq were together, early 2000s, right?
Yep.
Did you have any long-going relationship with Kobe, and any takeaways from obviously the tragedy that happened earlier this year?
Well, first of all, I was a player that worked Kobe out when he came there, 17 years old. And one of the things I was supposed to do is I was supposed to make it difficult for him on pick and rolls, post up, in one-on-one moves. I mean, Jerry West was giving me some instruction on what he wanted him to see. And the thing I say about Kobe, at the age of 17, I knew after that workout that he was going to be good, because there's a lot of players. And one thing Jerry says, Coop, take him away from his spot. Okay, so they would go, Kobe, we want you to take 4 or 5 dribbles and get to that 17-footer. So they would put like a little mark on the ground, tape an X on the ground. He had to get to that spot. My job was to keep him from that. And we were working. I mean, I held my own against him, but remember, I was like 40 years old now, so I was sweating up a storm, and I was way past my prime. I would love to have caught Kobe when I was 24, 25, too, at the same time. He could have been 17. Then we'd have had something really to say. But that's neither here nor there.
You would have pulled your socks up to play him at that point.
Oh, I did a lot of things, Sophie. Hey, Kobe would have had his hands full with me. Anyway, so when we worked that, but after that workout is when everybody kind of knew he was a lot stronger than he looked at 17. That was the other thing that I was really impressed by down in the low post. But you know what? Kobe became, and Jerry West has always had an innate ability to pick that player.
Yep.
AC Green, James Worthy, Kobe Bryant, just to name a few. So Kobe became who he became. And you know what? My relationship with Kobe was strictly just that, just as a assistant coach, and seeing him. Anybody that's a lifelong Laker, we're like family.
Right.
And the day that tragedy happened was one that just knocked the wind out of, I think, everybody around the world.
For sure.
Kobe was such a special person. It was a big influence, getting ready to be another big influence on the WNBA game at another level. I think his daughter Gianna would have been a spectacular player, as well as her. She, you know, there's a lot of coaches that sometimes we say, hey, that's the one. Well, she was the one that was going to take the WNBA. I really do believe that's to another level, because she had that ability, like her dad, that she was going to put into the women's game. Diana Taurasi, one of her idols and stuff like that. But, you know, Kobe be truly missed from the things that he's done, things that he said, and the things that he's accomplished throughout his whole lifetime and his career. And we surely miss him to this day. I think he was a catalyst for the Lakers winning the 2020 championship this year. The incentive and the insight that he had and talked about through the Mamba mentality, I think, was a big staple. And then the uniforms that they wore. So Kobe was just a special person all the way around, man. And I think everybody misses him. And it's just so sad that happened. But I think we all were better people for having known Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's interesting you talk about like the Laker family, because it's so true. Because even like when we were talking with Cedric Maxwell before, you know, he's obviously been away from the game as a player for some time. He still does. He's announcing everything. I think he's a little more connected to the Celtics, I'm sure, than you are the Lakers firsthand. But he talks all the time, hey, you know, shooting the shit with Jason Tatum at the practice facility, or, you know, the new draft kids and the rookies coming in and stuff like that. It's more of the way he explained it was, it's just like such a for lack of a better word, just a mutual respect between the organization and those players, even between Lakers and Celtics. Like, I know, you know, we're jabbing back and forth and stuff, but, you know, Cedric was like, hey, I went to war with these dudes. Like that means something 20, 30 years later. And that's cool to hear that from someone else coming from your shoes as well. But no, man, that was one that it obviously goes beyond fandom too. Cause like I said, we're Celtics fans. Kobe's ripped our hearts out a number of times. That was one where it's just like Jesus Christ. Like at the time it was like, what else? But unfortunately that was just the start. That was in February. That feels like it was 5 years ago is how long this year's been. And like some of the craziness that's been going on. But no, that's some good sentiments.
You know what I say about that, Dan, is it was hard for Kobe to rip y'all's heart out, because we had already done that, ripped your heart and your asshole out. So what he was taking was just the residual effects. So That would be called the innards of the Celtics. But he sure did take a whole lot of your innards out.
Yeah. Well said. I was trying to keep this civil, but all right. Well said.
Oh, we going all the way out, man.
All right. Go ahead, so.
Coop, what was
get out of here?
Yeah, I'll wrap you up on this. What were your outside of LA? What were your favorite cities to play in as like a visiting player? And obviously, like, you know, off the court, like whatever.
No, the favorite city I loved playing in was Boston. I loved playing there so much that I actually got to know where the dead spots on the floor were. I mean, and I mean this all sincerity. Great basketball place. The fans were very knowledgeable. They respected. Yeah, they didn't like us much, but when we did good things, you could hear people ooh, ah, and people behind the bench. So they respected what we did. Yeah. Another good arena to play in that I liked, and a lot of people didn't like playing at this place, was the Mecca in Milwaukee. When they had that, it was so cold there in the winter, though. But it was still, I liked it because of the color. Remember how colorful that floor used to be?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
really colorful. I mean, Sidney Moncrief used to rave about that. Coop, it's really nice. I said, it's fucking cold here, man. How you get warmed up for that? So
sounds like tampering.
Oh yeah. And the last place I liked to play at was Houston in the summer. That was a real. And the reason I like these places because they were real tight and intimate. The buildings and like the fans were on us, and it's not like these arenas now where in our place at Staples Center we call them the Red Coats. You can't even get close to say hi to your players, you know. So the people that you come in to see, but all those buildings were real intimate, real close. Fans were knowledgeable, and it just felt like you were at home there. And the ambiance was nice. You could see the basket, that orange rim, because the crowd was closer than they are now. Now you can hardly see the rim because the crowd's so far back. I would be a terrible shooter now. I couldn't see. My depth perception is bad.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about Boston fans, they were also very highly intoxicated at all times too. I don't know if that.
Well, we got experience of that. Well, our wives did, because they poured what beer they didn't drink. They poured it on our wives' head at the game. But you know what? No harm.
I apologize for that on our behalf.
My first wife, she actually enjoyed it, and all the other wives did.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. You never know.
We got it, y'all, because how you gonna spend? How much beer there? About $10 a cup, and you're wasting it on spending it and pouring it on our wives. We got at you.
Yes.
Did you have any clam chowder in your numerous trips to Boston? Did you try any of the food around here?
I did, and that was before they were thinking about poisoning people. So it was.
Yes.
And Kobe's food, or what was that in Philly, or one of the places y'all did? But you know what? I love the clam chowder. Yes, I'm big fan of that.
Yeah, cool. We don't poison our opponents. We just beat them by like 39 in Game 6 of 2008.
Or what Red used to do in the wintertime, he'd leave our locker room windows wide open, and in the summertime he would close them and cut the heater up 100 degrees. So yeah, I know you guys sweat us out or freeze us out.
Cheating in New England? I don't believe it. I've never
heard of it.
All right, man. Let's let you get out of here. Before I do, though, what's the best place for everyone to keep following you on Twitter and everywhere else you got going on?
Wherever you get your podcast from, whatever site you get it from. Showtime with Coop, Insightful BS with my Laker friends and NBA legends. Gentlemen,
love it, man.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Sophie, the man, Sophie, not the lady.
Yeah, you got it right. We smoothed things over once we got going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. This was a train wreck from the beginning, sir. I apologize for your
gentlemen.
time.
Take
Thanks,
care.
buddy.
Appreciate it,
Michael.